Good afternoon, everyone. This is Logan Giles from StormInterceptor.com with your September 16th, 2020 forecast updates for Delmarva and the general weather nationally, which is going to be featured on what is now Tropical Storm Sally. Now, we've all known for the last few months, as usual, summer has been, we've been stuck in this warm and humid pattern. It finally broke a few days ago as a cold front moved through, bringing cooler and drier weather for the most part. Now, this is expected to last until next weekend before a milder pattern arrives, which should be just above average, but not a whole lot. So that's great. Again, cool and dry weather is coming. I know, me included, we can take any cooler temperatures as we will get a pretty decent break from the warmer pattern for the time being. Now, if you've looked up into the sky, now you have some clouds, but yesterday and even Monday, you probably noticed there's a nice thin layer of overcast in the atmosphere. Now, you've probably heard this on the news, but in case you haven't, that is actually smoke from the historic wildfires out west in California, and it's reached the states on the eastern seaboard. From So you may ask yourself, "Oh, the smoke. Should I be concerned about like air quality, such as people in California?" Well, fortunately, because the smoke is 20,000 to 25,000 feet above the surface, the only direct impact we will see for the next few days will be a dim sun or a dim moon. But that will become less noticeable as a thick layer of clouds will move in tomorrow ahead of Tropical Storm Sally, which I'll get to in a bit. So, speaking of Sally, it has caused record flooding. It has caused rivers to reach unprecedented levels in parts of Alabama and Florida. This is the Shoal River in Mossy Head, Florida. It will reach flood stage, record flood stage that is, by the time this video comes out, and is expected to shatter its own record for the highest flood stage by over 3 feet. That is expected to be done Thursday morning. Again, record flood stage. This is also the Perdido River in Alabama, which is expected to just break the record. And if you look at these levels, this is the one in Mossy Head. It doesn't have the estimate when this will crest below flood stage, but I can guarantee you that based on this one, it's going to take a while for this to reach the end of the flood stage. Probably early next week, most of these rivers will be back below their flood banks, which is of course great news. Now, what is Sally going to bring for us here on Delmarva? We will get direct impacts, but of course nothing like Florida and Alabama, which is obviously great news. Now, the only impact for us will be heavy rain, which will begin tomorrow afternoon into the evening hours and should last until Friday morning. Mostly concerned about Northampton County towards Cape Charles. Maybe some heavy rain up to an inch or two for parts of Maryland, south of Delaware, so like Salisbury, Snow Hill, Ocean City, Pocomoke City, Saxis. All those areas will probably get 1 to 2 inches most likely. Of course, smaller chance north of there, going to be half an inch, maybe into lower Sussex County into Delaware. Now, a flash flood watch was just issued today by the National Weather Service in Wakefield for extreme south of the peninsula in Northampton County. Again, mainly concerning the Cape Charles area. Now, we don't have a whole lot of rain, really. It's only going to be 2 inches, but why is it going to be so heavy? Why is there this flash flood watch out? Good question. The precipitable water valleys, or how heavy the rain is going to be, is of how much water saturation is inside one raindrop, is going to be pretty high. Now, usually we look at the 1 to 1.5 range as your average rainfall, but when you climb above 2, that's when you talk about tropical rainfall, which is very heavy. Now, the remnants of Laura, which is expected to be extratropical by tomorrow evening, will pass just overhead of that area, like Cape Charles area, tomorrow evening, most likely. Now, that's going to bring those heavy rains, of course, when this hits. So, the heaviest time frame is going to be late Thursday night into early Friday morning for the Northampton County area. So, again, Cape Charles, Onondaga, that area. And then this is mainly going to be stratiform rain and just that plain rain that we all know and well. That's not really convective because the boundary, the warm front's going to be well south of us into parts of North Carolina, which should bring some severe weather and some tornadoes from them. I'm a bit iffy on that. It's not a lot of instability, but they should have some severe weather as what was Sally moves through. Now let's take a quick peek at the weekend ahead. It's supposed to be very nice sunny skies. Those temperatures will be in the low 60s for most of the peninsula and even approaching 70 in Cape Charles area. Now dew points will feel very nice. It's going to be dry, not a lot of humidity once Sally passes through, which is great again. So again, weekend sunny skies, not a lot of humidity at all, which is great. Now talk about marine forecast. Now the waves have been pretty quiet since this weekend, where we did see some large waves and pretty minimal beach erosion, which was washed away the day later. But we're talking about a better chance of some bigger erosion and much larger waves this weekend. Probably Sunday to Tuesday, Wednesday. Now, why is this? Now, you see that area of wind coming from the northeast. There's also Hurricane Teddy, which is going to impact possibly Bermuda this weekend. But for us, the main areas is that area of northeast winds, which should be between 30 and 45 miles an hour. This is called a fetch. So a fetch is when you have a large area of winds from the same direction. This will build up enough energy to essentially make large waves when they impact. Now, the nature of the coastline is, of course, important. If these winds are going to be offshore, which they will not be for us in Delmarva, you're talking about smaller waves. So mainly, you look at the coastline in South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia. They'll get waves, but not as big as the coasts that face the wind, such as the northern Outer Banks, Delmarva, Virginia, and even parts of New Jersey and Massachusetts. Now, this is because we have a high pressure to the north, and which is expected to be a very powerful Hurricane Teddy to the south. This causes this gradient, which creates beach erosion, coastal flooding, and the most prominent threat, which is, of course, coastal flooding. Now, in terms of coastal flooding, I'm expecting minor to possibly moderate flooding for the area. Now, the usual spots such as Bowers Beach, which is just north of Slaughter Beach along the Delaware Bay, as of now, this will change as the track of Teddy either shifts to the west, to the east, or stays on track. So this will likely change. It's changed about 5 times today already. So as of now, you're expected to have minor to moderate flooding at the high tide on Friday and Saturday. Now, fortunately, we do have a new moon, so we do have that help from space. So if it was a full moon, we would be talking about moderate to potentially major flooding. But fortunately, it is a new moon, so it's not going to be a huge of an issue as it could have been. It still will cause problems, most likely, but it's not as bad as it could have been, which is, of course, great news. Now, here's Ocean City. Now, we all know which parts flood there, but in case you don't, it's mostly south of Route 50 and anywhere along the bayside south of Jolly Rogers on 33rd. That part always floods. In case you don't know, there's about five signs, nah, can't talk right now. Five yellow signs that say flood area. So that part does flood a lot. They will most likely flood at the high tide on Saturday. As you can see, this is going to be Saturday morning. And as for Chincoteague, which also floods, because if you know that area well, there's not a lot of they're pretty flat, and there's not a lot of dunes or stuff protecting them. Like I drove down to the park in Chincoteague yesterday and didn't really see many dunes or anything. It was mainly this like flat marshland, which when storms come, they can cause problems. So again, potentially moderate flooding for Chincoteague on Saturday morning. Again, this will change, so pay attention to the latest forecast updates. So this is near Cape Charles, and I will attempt to pronounce this. Cape Peak. I hope that's right. Um, they might have major flooding, moderate to major flooding possibly for the southern tip of Delmarva. So we'll definitely see what happens with that. So again, pretty to take out this video, pretty quiet week and weekend ahead, except for Thursday, which is going to be pretty rainy and unpleasant for southern half of the peninsula, while the ocean will be really kicking up starting Saturday. I mean, we're talking about 5 to 8 foot waves beginning Saturday, and then possibly 10 foot waves on Sunday and Monday. So that's going to cause some coastal flooding, some beach erosion, and again, very strong rip currents. Fortunately, this did not happen during the summer season where the beaches would have been crowded and you would have had more people on the beach, a better chance. So this is the off season, fortunately, but again, there's going to be some problems with coastal flooding. Most likely, again, we'll see what happens, but I would say a modest chance of some flooding, especially along the coastline, beginning on Sunday and Monday. I will be back with your next update tomorrow night, and as always, stay safe.